Hello, children. Today I will start Merchant of Venice, Act 1, Scene 1. This Scene 1 already I have given the summary to you. Now I will explain you uh, line by line. Now, Antonio, in sooth, I know not why I am so sad. It wearies me, you say it wearies you. See, in the street of Venice, this scene takes place in the street of Venice. And here who are sitting? Antonio and his friends Salarino and Selanio. They are telling to Antonio because Antonio is looking very sad and serious. So both are telling them that why you are so sad, and both of the friends are worried because when a friend is worried, other two friends are also worried that what is the reason of his sadness. So they are when they said, they might have said something to Antonio. So Antonio is telling that in sooth means truly, right there. Sooth means truly. He says that truly, I know not. I don't know why I am so sad. It worries me. And he's telling that I am also feeling depressed. And you are telling that you are also depressed. Now, but how I caught it, found it, or came by it, he's telling how I found this sadness, how I came by this sadness, from where this sadness came, I don't know. And what stuff it is made of, and what material this sadness is made of, and whereof it is born, from where it is born, I am to learn. Means I have yet to learn. It means that he does not know. He is yet to know. Okay, and such a want with sadness makes of me. And he's still want with means dull fellow. So he says this sadness is making me a dull fellow, that I have much ado to know myself. This sadness is making me such a dull fellow that I fail to know who I am. So this Antonio says. Now Salarino is replying, your mind is tossing on the ocean. He is giving the reason of Antonio's sadness. According to him, he is telling that your mind is tossing on the ocean there where your Argosies with portly sail. See here, you write the meaning first. Here, um, tossing here, you write somewhere moving, and here Argosies means large merchant ships. Portly means walk in a stately manner. Bas, these two lines I'll tell now. See, he's telling that Salarino is telling, according to him, Antonio, he's telling that your mind, Antonio, your mind is somewhere at the sea, in the ocean. Uh, there, where your it is at the sea where your large merchant ships are sailing in a stately manner. Stately means royal manner. So, according to Salarino, Antonio is sad because his ships are sailing in the ocean, and he is worried about his ships because in those days mm, the ships are sailing by the wind. So, how when they will reach the harbor, they don't know. And so Antonio may be worried about his ship, that according to Salarino. Salarino is saying, like seniors and rich burghers on the flood. Here you see the he is speaking about Antonio's ship. He's personifying the ships, and he's telling that he's comparing Antonio's ship with other ships. He's telling that his ships are like seniors. Seniors means gentlemen. His ships are like gentlemen and rich burghers, means wealthy merchants on the flood. He's telling that your ships are on the flood means on the sea, on the ocean. His ships are like gentlemen and important citizens or rich citizens, or as it were the pageants of the sea. And he's telling your seas, your ships are well decorated, and they are moving in a procession. Do overpeer the petty traffickers. Here, pageants of the sea. Pageants of the sea means decorated floats moving in a procession. And petty traffickers means commoners or common people. Here, petty traffickers refers to small ships, and pageants of the sea refers to Antonio's ship. He's telling that, so Salarino is saying Antonio's ships are well decorated and they're moving in a procession, and they are um, surpassing the commoners, common people, or they are surpassing the petty traffickers. Means here the gentleman and these rich citizens, they are moving royally, and when they pass the common people, they are just surpassing the common people very proudly. And here common people means small ships, and Antonio ships means Antonio ships are gentlemen, like gentlemen and wealthy merchants. And when these Antonio ships surpass the petty traffickers or common people or small ships, then these small ships show courtesy to them. That courtesy to them do them reverence, and they show courtesy to them with and show them respect as they fly by them with their woven wings. As these ships are Antonio's ships are flying by, means Antonio's ship would surpass small ships because their sails were like the wings with which the birds fly. Okay, so there is a comparison between this Antonio's ship and the small ship. So I hope you have understood this. Salanio. Believe me, sir, had I such venture forth, the better part of my affections would be with my hopes abroad. Salanio is now telling his view. Another friend. He's telling, sir, you believe me, if I also had such kind of ships or business ventures, then the better part of my affections means my thoughts would be with my hopes. What are his hopes? His ships. Means he's telling, if I also had such kind of ventures, then my thought would be with my ships. I should be still plucking the grass. He's telling that, and I would be busy in plucking the grass to know the direction of the wind, to know where sits the wind. Means he would be plucking the grass to see the direction of the wind, peering in the maps for ports, and he would be busy in looking at the maps for harbors and channels and roads and every object that might make me fear, and he would be considering every object which would make me fear or which would cause harm to his ship, out of doubt would make me sad, and these misfortune which I feel would make me sad. Salarino. My wind cooling my broth would blow me to an ague when I thought. Now, Salarino is again saying that when he is drinking some kind of having some soup, or then at that time the wind which blows means the steam which he sees, or he would be cooling those cooling his soup or blowing upon his soup to make it cold, then he would tremble with fear. Ague means fever that makes one tremble. Then he would tremble with fear when he thought that what harm a wind can cause in the sea to his ships. Now, how he remembers his wind? Seeing the steam of his food or soup. He would remember about the even that steam of the soup would make him fear because it makes him remember about the wind that could cause a great harm to his ships in the ocean. I should not see the sandy hourglass run, and he does not want to see the hourglass because it has sand inside it. Because when he sees the sand, then but I should think of shallows and of flats, which makes him remember him the shallow water and the sandbanks. Because when his ships are stuck in those sandbanks, then his ships cannot come out of that. It will be destroyed. So he says that, and see my wealthy and you dogged in the sea. And then he remembers that as if his wealthy ship is dogged inside the sea, or his body of the ship is dipped down lower than her sides, and veiling her high top lower than her ribs to kiss her burial, as if it is trying to kiss the sands surrounded to kiss sorry should I go to church. He's telling that if I go to church and see the holy edifice of stone, edifice of um, stone means that those I think um, let me see the I'll tell you the meaning that edifice means buildings. Okay, when he um, when he goes to church and see the building made of stone, and not bethink me straight of dangerous rocks, and he starts imagining about those dangerous rocks which touching but my gentle vessel's side. Dangerous, he remembers when he see the church, the stone church which is made of this building, church building which is made of stone. He remembers about the dangerous rocks which can cause harm to his ships, would scatter all her spices, and if his ships are um, touched by these rocks, then you know what can happen. Then all her spices, all her things all her clothes, or all the materials by which the ship is laden with will be thrown on the sea. So he's telling would scatter all the spices will be scattered on the stream, enrobe the roaring waters. Enrobe means here if the ships have clothes, then all those clothes will cover the water. Means that silken cloth will cover the water. And in a word, but even now worth this and now worth nothing. And and in a few minutes I have everything, and in a few minutes I can see that everything is destroyed. And in short, it makes me think that at one moment I have so much, and the next moment I have nothing. Shall I have the thought to think on this, and shall I lack the thought? He's telling if I can imagine all this could happen, I have also imagined I can also imagine the grief which the occurrence of such a disaster would cause me. So he's telling that if I remember these things, I remember about that grief which these things can cause to me. But tell not me, I know Antonio is sad to think upon his merchandise. Then he's telling that I know that Antonio is sad because he is thinking of his such rich cargo. Now, Salarino and Salanio both are telling their views. Salarino is telling that he is remembering about his ships, and then Salanio is also supporting him, and Salarino is again he is telling that, see, you have such wealthy ships, and if this ship and these wealth is lost in the ship, then you will be destroyed. So this fear may be making you sad. This fear of losing everything. In one moment you have everything, another moment you don't have anything. This fear might make you sad. But Antonio is telling, see, believe me, no, I thank my fortune for it. My ventures are not in one bottom trusted. Antonio is refusing. No, believe me, it is not true. And I thank my good fortune because my business is not dependent in one ship. In one bottom trusted means my business is not dependent on one ship, nor on any single location, nor at any, nor to one place. Not his business does not depend upon one ship or one location, nor is my whole estate upon the fortune of this present year, and nor does his financial position depend on the commercial enterprises of the current year, or his financial position does not depend upon the profit of the current year, present year. Therefore, it is not my loaded ships that make me sad. Okay, merchandise means his loaded ship. So, Salarino, why then? You are in love. Antonio, fi means what nonsense? Salarino, not in love neither. Then let us say you are sad because you are not many. Now he just um, trying to tease him that, okay, if you are not, your ships are not making you sad, you are not in love, then maybe you are sad because you are not happy. For you to laugh and leap and say you are merry, so it were as easy for you to laugh and leap and say you are merry because you are not sad. So it would be very easy for you to laugh and say and jump and say that you are not happy because you are not sad. Now, by two-headed Janus. Now he's telling that he's referring to God Janus. He's explaining with example to Antonio that now by two-headed Janus, nature had framed strange fellows. Now Janus is a Roman god of doors who had two faces, one frowning and the other smiling. One head is looking inwards and the other head looks out. He is referred to here to indicate that nature creates two different types of men with different outlooks. So here he is telling that he is giving the example of two-headed Janus and trying to explain the contrast between two different type of people. He is saying that nature has framed strange fellows in her time. There are some people that will evermore peep through their eyes and laugh like parrots at a bagpiper. He's telling that there are some people mm, who would laugh at um, very small things, at very stupid things, like even they will laugh at a bagpiper as foolishly as a parrot laughs at anything. So actually, um bagpipers make a very dreary noise, and only someone as brainless as parrot laughs at it. So it is referring to bagpiper. So some means that there are some people, um, and bagpiper means one who plays the bagpipe. Now here, um, these paragraphs suggest the contrariness in the human nature, because there are some people who laugh, who laugh very easily at anything. Even they laugh at the noise of the bagpipe. Means there is nothing to laugh, but they are laughing. That and the other of such vinegar aspect means sour expression. Vinegar aspect means sour expression. They will not show their teeth in way of smile. Though Nestor swear the jest be laughable. See here, Nestor is an old and wise Greek general who fought in the Trojan War, and a joke had to be extremely funny if Nestor laughed at it. So here, Nestor is a man, very grave looking man. He won't laugh. And if there are people who are so serious that even the Nestor, who is a so grave person, even he will also laugh at that joke. This man will not laugh. He is so serious. So there are two different types of people. One person can uh, laugh at stupid things, and other person, even the joke is very very funny, they will not laugh. Now, this is now again Salanio. What he says. Here comes Bassanio, uh, your most noble kinsman, Gratiano and Lorenzo. Here, kinsman means underline kinsman, right? Means a friend, not a relative. Friend. Gratiano and Lorenzo. Fare ye well. We leave you now with better company. Then Salanio is telling that, see, your friends have come, and um, now I think better company you have got, and now we are leaving. Salarino. I would have stayed still. I had made you merry if worthier friends had not prevented me. Salarino is telling, I would have stayed here with you till I could make you happy, if your worthy friends would not have arrived here and prevented me from doing so. Antonio, your worth is very dear in my regard. Means I have great regard for you. No, no, not like this. This Bassanio and others are also my friend, and your worth. You also, I also have a great regard for you, great respect for you. I take it your own business calls on you, and you embrace the occasion to depart. And he is telling that I think that is your business which takes you away from us. That is why you make use of this opportunity to leave. Now, enter Bassanio, Lorenzo, and Gratiano. Salarino. Good morrow, my good lords. Salarino. Means good morning, my good lords. Bassanio. Good seniors both. When shall we laugh? Say when. You grow exceeding strange. Must it be so? The Bassanio is telling, good gentlemen, will both of you tell us when we shall be merry? Tell me when. You have become like strangers. Is it necessary to be so? This, as these people are leaving, so Bassanio is telling that, so you are leaving now, then when shall we get the time to laugh and then have fun? And you are behaving like a strangers as you are seeing us and leaving. Now, Salarino, we will make our leisures to attend on yours. Means we shall find some free time to speak to you. Salarino says. Now, Salarino and Salanio both go away. Now, Lorenzo is saying something. My lord Bassanio, since you have found Antonio, we too will leave you, but at dinner time. I pray you have in mind where we must meet. Lorenzo is saying, my lord Bassanio, since you have met your friend Antonio here, we too will take your leave. The Antonio and Bassanio are the best friends. Everybody knows. But I pray you, but I request you to remember the place where we should meet again at dinner time. Bassanio, I will not fail you. I will not fail to be there. Graciano is telling, you look not well, Senior Antonio. He is watching Antonio and telling that you do not look well, Sir Antonio. You have too much respect upon the world. Means you have You are too much burdened with worldly affairs. They lose it that they lose it that do buy it with much care. Believe me, you are marvelously changed. He's telling that people lose everything when they do not enjoy their wealth and when they are over anxious in obtaining those wealth. Believe me, you are marvelously changed. And he's telling that, believe me, you have changed so much. So Gashanu is telling to Antonio that you look so much engaged in worldly affairs, and people who are engaged in worldly affairs, to they who those who are engaged in earning more and more wealth, they cannot enjoy their wealth because they are only busy in obtaining the wealth. So they don't have time to enjoy their wealth. This Gratian is saying to Antonio. Antonio says, I hold the world, but as the world, Gratiano. Antonio says that I consider this world only as a stage. I hold the world, but as the world. He says that I consider the world a stage where every man must play a part. He says that I consider this world as a stage, and every man has some role to play, and my one is the sad one. He's telling that every man has some role to play in this world. This world is like a stage, and every person has got different kinds of role. And he's telling that my role is the sad one. I think of the world for what it is. Yes, see, you write this sentence, underline this sentence. I hold the world, but as the world means that I think of the world for what it is. And second part meaning is my part. So, now here, second part he says that and mine is a sad one. Here Shakespeare wishes to create a sense of foreboding on the principle that coming events cast their shadows before. Is that here he wants to this uh, Shakespeare wants to tell that if some kind of danger is about to come, then you can see its shadow from the beginning. So that kind of he has an intuition, a kind of feeling that something bad was going to happen with Antonio. So that kind of sadness. So he is feeling sad from the beginning. So Antonio wants to he wants to prove this principle that coming events cast their shadows before. You know what was going to happen with Antonio? That he would be caught in Shakespeare's trap, and he would have he would be caught in Shylock's trap, and then Shylock would ask him to give cut his flesh from his body. These things will happen. So that will happen now. That has not happened. So a feeling of sadness is that though that shadow that this is sad means it is the shadow, this coming event show cast their shadows from the beginning. Now Gratiano, let me play the fool. So when Antonio is telling that my part is that sad one or tragic one, then uh, Gratiano is saying that Antonio has chosen to play a tragic part, and Gratiano prefers to play a comic role. So he tells, with mirth and laughter, let old wrinkles come. He's telling that with laughing and with fun, let my this let my this cheeks be filled with wrinkles. Wrinkles, you know that what we'll say, जो झुलस जाता है ना, that झुर्रियाँ जो पड़ जाती हैं, that all that are called as old wrinkles. When the person grows old, then you can see those jhurriya. That he's telling that if I am laughing and I am enjoying with mirth and laughter, then laughing and laughing, let me have these old wrinkles on my face, and let my liver rather heat with wine. See, here, and Elizabethans believe, they that time there was a belief that if a person drinks wine, then he warms his liver. It was believed that there were four basic types of characters: the choleric, the melancholy, and the uh, phlegmatic, and the sanguine. These types were physiologically determined by the digestion of food in the liver. Means that a liver enriched by wine would produce rich blood, thus a lively personality. He's telling that here, see, um, choleric means here bad-tempered people. But here, actually, he wants to say that there was a belief that if a person drinks wine, then he will warm his liver. Then the diseases which come due to liver disorder, he will not catch those kind of diseases. So he is telling that he would rather um, he would rather heat his liver with wine than cool his heart with mortifying groan. Mortifying groan means sad cries. So he is telling that I would be happy to drink wine and heat my liver so that he is healthy, and he does not want to cool his heart um, by sitting sadly. Why should a man whose blood is warm within sit like his grandsire cut in alabaster? See, grandsire cut in alabaster means expressionless and motionless statue of grandfather. You can write the meaning: expressionless and motionless statue of grandfather. He's telling that why should a warm-blooded man sit like a statue of a grandfather, sit still, sad, sitting still without any happiness? It is his. Then, according to him, he is sitting like just like a statue of a old grandfather. Sleep when he wakes, and he does not want to sleep in sleep when he wakes, and his sleep in wakes means be motionless during the working hours. Means during the working hours he's sitting idly, lazily. So sleep when he wakes means sitting motionlessly in working hours, and creep into jaundice and catch jaundice. If a person is always sad and lazy, it is believed that he catches a disease, that is jaundice. Jaundice is a disease that turns the skin yellow. The Elizabethans thought that jaundice was caused by jealousy and bad temper. If a person is is always sad, then what kind of feeling will grow inside him? Jealousness and sadness, and what else? And bad ill temper. He will become ill tempered. So he is telling that why by being peevish, and creep into jaundice by being peevish. Now let me tell you the meaning here. Gradually, actually, by being peevish means by being ill-tempered or irritable. So, actually, they believe that a person catches jaundice when he is always in bad temper. Um, I tell thee what, Antonio, I love thee, and it is my love that speaks. And he's telling that, Antonio, see, I love you. That is why I care for you and I speak so much. There are a sort of men whose visages do cream and mantle like a standing pool, with purpose to be dressed, and do a willful stillness entertain, with purpose to be dressed in an opinion of wisdom, gravity, profound conceit. Say now, there are a sort of men whose visages do cream and mantle like a standing pond. So here there are people whose faces are overcast with a set of pale expression. Means his face is covered with his face is entirely pale. No happiness, no smile, nothing. Face is completely pale. As unchanging as the surface of a pool. Just as a pool, when you see yellow color or some kind of standing pool you have seen which does not flow, it is still. Either it is filled with fungus, green, or it has turned yellowish, that type. Then he is giving example that um, there are people who are always sad and their face is just covered, like covered with um, scum and this fungus, and the top layer is formed like that. Similarly, here you see, you can cream refers to white cream on the top of the milk. Now he's telling that there are sort of people whose faces are just like the just covered with just like a pond, still pond, whose surface is covered with scum and fungus. They don't have any kind of zeal, they don't show any kind of happiness, just standing still like a standing water of a pond, and do a willful stillness entertain. And he's telling that, do you think willful means you're stubborn? Do this stubborn stillness, which does not move, entertain pleases somebody, with purpose to be dressed in an opinion of wisdom, gravity, profound conceit. Now, he is telling that some people are always serious with a purpose of creating a great reputation. So some people are, you can see some people. He is telling us there are some people who are um, always serious. They think that if I am always serious, then people will respect me, and they will create a good reputation in the society. So he is telling that. So Gratian is telling there are some people who are uselessly serious because they want to create a reputation. As who would say, I am Sir Oracle, and see, Sir Oracle was a very he was a very wise man. His voice was believed to be the God's voice, and he was his voice, whatever he uttered through the mouth of priests. So he is telling that uh, people are keeping their faces serious and as if they want to say that I am Sir Oracle, I am the voice of God. Whatever I say, it is correct. So um, they keep their faces serious. And when I open my lips, let no dog bark. And and Gashan is telling that. And when these people open their lips, then then others, those who listen to him, will say that let not a sound be heard. Means they will not want to listen his sound. When the people will be thinking it was good that he was serious, looking serious, and when he opens his mouth, people understand and he knows nothing. But fish not with this melancholy bait. He's telling that Gashan is telling he's telling that seriousness or gravity. He's telling as a bait. Bait means from which we fish the which we do fishing. So he's telling that don't use this. Don't fish means don't try to catch praises, but with this melancholy bait, means by this sadness, don't try to catch respect or catch reputation from the people. For this fool gudgeon this opinion. Come, good Lorenzo, fare ye well a while. I will end my exhortation after dinner. So, it's telling that, but do not look for popularity with such a tool as your sad face. Come, Lorenzo, farewell for now. I shall finish my advice to you after dinner. Oh, Lorenzo, well, we will leave you then till dinner time. I must be one of these same dumb wise men, for Graciano never lets me speak. Then Lorenzo is telling that, then we shall let you be free till dinner time. I must be like one of those silent wise men, for Graciano does not allow me to speak. As Graciano does not allow me to speak, so I am one of those silent wise men. Even this line you see, if they should speak, would almost damn those ears, which hearing them would call their brothers fools. So here this I skipped that line, meaning you just underline that line and write the meaning. If they were to speak, their listeners would call them fools, and for saying this, they would be damned. Because the Bible says that whoever shall say to his brother, thou fool, means you fool, shall be in danger of hell. So you just remember that if they were to speak, their listeners would call them fools. Means they are, when they are showing that they are very serious, they have a grave face, and they feel that their words are the words of God. And when they speak, the listeners, what the listeners say? Listeners would call them fools. So now, so Lorenzo Graciano over. Then Antonio, farewell, I will grow a talker for this gear. And so Antonio is telling, farewell, I will start speaking because of what you have said. Graciano. Thanks, I faith, for silence is only commendable in the neat tongue dried. He's telling that, thanks indeed, because silence is only praiseworthy in a dried ox tongue. Means ox is, if ox is silent, then it is good. Nobody else. According to Graciano. Antonio, is that anything now? Is there anything of concern now? Bassanio. Graciano speaks an infinite deal of nothing more than any man in all Venice. He is telling that Graciano indulges himself in such a idle talk, much more than any other man in Venice. And his reasons are as 2 grains, means his speech is like 2 grains of wheat hid in 2 bushels of chaff. Means his speech is like 2 grains only hidden in a 2 bushels of 2 bushels of wheat, 2 worthless bushels of wheat. See here, he's telling that there are some bush of wheat. You can see that that bushels have number of um, that what can we tell, worthless seeds. Means in that there will be covered, seeds will not be there. Only 2 bush will be there. Two good seeds will be there, and others will be useless seeds because seed is not inside. So he is telling that Graciano's speech is also like that. He is speaking so much, and only 1 or 2 words will be valuable, will be important. This Bassanio says, "You shall seek all day ere you find them, and if you search whole day you find nothing, and you when you find, then they are not worth the search, and when you find, then they are not the worth of your search." Means you are searching so much, whole day you're spending, and when you get the meaning of the words are not so valuable as your search was very high, and the thing you get is valueless. Antonio, well, tell me now, what lady is the same? to whom you swore a secret pilgrimage that you today promised to tell me of? So Antonio is saying that, well, tell me, who is the lady to whom you have decided to pay a visit secretly? You promised me to tell me about her today. Bassanio, it is not unknown to you, Antonio, how much I have disabled mine estate. He's telling that, you know, Antonio, how I have spent my meager fortune by having a more lordly way of living than my moderate income would allow me. See, Bassanio is considered to be spendthrift. So he is telling that he does not have so much money, but he spends lavishly. So he's telling that, Antonio, it is not unknown to you that how much I have disabled my estate. Means how much I have spent my meager money, less money, by something showing a more swelling port than my faint means would grant continuance. I do not complain that I can no longer live in such a style as the nobles. My main worry now is to come honorably out of my heavy debts I have incurred due to my youth and its extravagance. See, here you see, Antonio is telling that by something showing a more swelling port than my faint means would grant continuance. Now, nor do I know now make more. This one. So he's telling that here port means here grand style. So he's telling that uh, by something showing a more swelling port than my faint means would grant continuance. Now my even my purse does not allow me to continue my lavishly living or my this grand way of style. My purse, I don't have money now to continue my grand way of style of living, grand way of living. So actually, he wants to say that I had money and my you know how extravagantly how extravagantly he spent his money, and now his purse does not permit him to spend more. Means now his money has come to an end. Now he does not have so much money. So then my friend means, nor do I now make moan to be abridged. So he's telling that I moan means I'm not sad, I'm not complaining that I can no longer live in such a style as the nobles. But my chief care is to come fairly off from the great depths. But his chief care is that how to come out from the depths he has taken from different people, wherein my time something too prodigal, and he has to take depth because there was a time when he became too prodigal. Prodigal means too extravagant, spendthrift. When he became very spendthrift, then he took loans from the people, and so he is telling to Antonio that, see Antonio, now my worry is not that I cannot live like nobles, but my worry is that how I will repay my loans, which I um, to s- took to maintain my extravagant nature, hath left me against. To you, Antonio, I owe the most in money and in love, and from your love I have a warranty. And he's telling that I owe you most, Antonio, both in terms of money and love. Your affection gives me enough strength to disclose to you my plans and pay off my debts. See, your affection, you love me so much that gives me courage to tell me about my plans and tell me about those debts which I have taken. And so it is telling to unburden all my plots means to tell you all my plans about my plans. Plots means your plans, and I will also take some suggestions to how to clear all my debts. Now, Antonio, I pray you, good Bassanio, let me know it. And if it stand as you yourself still do, within the eye of honor, be assured, my purse, my person, my extremest means lie all unlocked to your occasions. So he's telling that, Antonio, tell me everything, good Bassanio. If your plan is perfectly honorable, if it stand means if your plan is perfectly honorable, you may be sure that my money, my body, and all my resources will be available for you. Unlocked. They are not locked. They are available for Bassanio. Bassanio. In my school days, when I had lost one shaft, I shot his fellow on the self same flight. Now see here, Bassanio is telling, in my school days, when I had lost one arrow, then I shot another, and then I watched it carefully where that arrow went. Then I go in the same direction to find the first arrow. The self same way, with more advised watch to find the other fourth, and by adventuring both, I often found both. Understood? So he is telling that in my school days when I shot one arrow and it was lost, then in the same direction in order to search first arrow, then he will shoot another arrow and he will watch in which direction that second arrow goes. He will follow the arrow, and then where the arrow falls, he will get the first arrow also. Because the what follows is pure innocence. I owe you much, and like a wilful youth, that which I owe is lost. But if you please to shoot another arrow, that self way which you did shoot the first, I do not doubt. So he's telling that he is giving his childhood example, because what I propose now is harmless. Now he's telling that in childhood I used to get my lost arrow by shooting second arrow. So actually, what has happened that Antonio Vasily is saying that he has taken so much loans from others and he is unable to pay it. So he is telling that he will pay the his loan by shooting second arrow, means by taking another loan from Antonio, and then he will give back all his loan, previous loan, whatever he had, and then he will also pay back Antonio's money. So that he wants to say. So he's telling that I propose now is harmless, means I owe so much to you, and like a self-willed young man, I have lost everything that I got from you. He said that I have also taken so much money from you, and and now I also want to return you back money by taking some more money from you. But if you give me another loan like the first one, I do not doubt while I watch the direction so carefully that I shall repay you both the loans. At any rate, I can pay back at least your second loan and remain your grateful debtor for the first. So he is telling that you please give me some money so that I can earn money from your money, then I will pay the previous loans also, other people's also, your also, and your previous loan, your current loan, everything I will pay. So this he wants to say. Antonio, you know me well, and herein spend but time to whine about my love with circumstance, and out of doubt you do me now more wrong. Antonio is telling that you know me well, but herein you are only wasting my time by all these references to my love. It means that you are doubting me. You doubt that I may be giving you money or not. In making question of my uttermost, than if you had made waste of all I have, means that you are making so much questions, you are wasting my time. They do but say to me that I should do. He's telling you, just tell me what I have to do. Don't give me so many examples. That in your knowledge may by me be done, and I am pressed unto it, therefore speak. He's telling that you have only to tell me what you want me to do. If you know that I can do it, I will be obliged to do it. So please speak. Bassanio is saying, in Belmont is a lady richly left, and she is fair and fairer than that world, of wondrous virtues, sometimes from her. He's telling that in Belmont there is a very rich lady who has lot of wealth, and she is very beautiful with great virtues, and she is okay, of wondrous virtues. Sometimes from her eyes I did receive fair speechless message, and he's telling that, and sometimes I have received this once before he went there, and there he received some lovely silent messages from her eyes. Her name is Portia, nothing undervalued to Cato's daughter. He's telling that uh, she is no less precious than Cato's daughter. Means she is not anything less precious than, she is not less precious than Cato's daughter. Catus, who was Catus? Catus was the wife of Brutus. Now, nor is the wide world ignorant. Now, see, Brutus, Portia. Now, Portia here is compared to Portia in Julius Caesar, who was the daughter of Cato and wife of Brutus. Who was Brutus? Brutus was a brave Roman general and the leader of the conspiracy against Julius Caesar. So here he is comparing with another Cato's daughter, Portia. Her name was also Portia. So she is not less precious than Cato's daughter. Means she is very virtuous, very good, better than her even. Now, and he's telling indeed towards her. So nor is the wide world ignorant of her worth, and this wide world is also, and everybody knows what is her worth. For the four winds blow in from very every coast, renowned suitors, and her sunny locks hang on her temples, look a golden like a golden fleece. Now you see, he's telling that uh, Portia was a very beautiful lady, and in order to marry Portia, suitors from different places came. So he's telling that this world is not unknown about Portia. Means people know her, and like स्वयंवर होता है ना, लोग आते हैं like that. In Portia's case also many suitors are coming to marry Portia. So Bassanio also wants to go. He's telling that many suitors are coming from all the sign, from the four directions of the wind, and renowned suitors are coming. And her sunny locks here refers to her golden hair which falls on her face, which hang on her temples like a golden fleece, and it looks like a um, golden fleece. Here the reference is made golden fleece. See, the reference is made to the ancient Greek legend fleece, which refers to the crop of wool of a sheep on the or the ram. Uh, Actually, there is a story about it. You can refer um, in your book. I think Golden Fleece. You will get the story. Read it. It is a difference. It is related to it, but you can no need of explaining. You can read it. So here he is comparing this Portia's hair like a golden fleece, which makes her seat of Belmont, Colchos Strand, and many Jasons came in quest of her. So he is telling that, um, and her pretty hair adorns her forehead like the golden fleece, and her home at Belmont is like the ancient kingdom of Colchos. Many suitors go there to win her. Oh, Antonio, had I the money to compete with me? and my instincts tell me that I should surely be the winner. He's telling that, oh Antonio, I also, if I had money, I could also go. And he's telling that, and if you help me, then surely I will be the winner. I will win Porsche and come. To hold a rival place with one of them, I have a mind presages me such thrift that I should questionless be fortunate. He's telling that um, many suitors go there to win her, oh Antonio, and if I had money to compete with them, my instincts tell me that I should surely be the winner. That I should questionless be fortunate. Means, if I get a chance to go there, then I will be surely be the winner. Antonio, thou knowest that all my fortunes are at sea. He says that you know that all my money are invested in the ships at sea. Neither have I money nor commodity to raise the present sum. Therefore, go forth. So he's telling that I have neither cash nor anything on which money could be raised. So go forth, try what my credit can in Venice do. So go ahead and see, and in my name take some credit from Venice. Try what my credit can in Venice do. Telling that you go and in my name you can take money loan that shall be racked even to the uttermost to furnish thee to Belmont, and I shall be stressed to the utmost limit. Means I will try my best to enable you to go to Belmont and win over the beautiful Portia. Go presently, inquire, and so will I. Where money is, go at once and inquire, and I shall do the same. Wherever money could be had, and I have no doubt that I shall have it, either on account of my business credit or against my personal surety. Means even he will keep himself as a surety or guarantor and give him money. Okay, so now I think you will understand the chapter. So both the things you listen and then do the workbook. Thank you.